Ambassador Edmond to be our witness.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Director of the Canadian Center for International Studies. Bonjour. That's the way to encourage you to go and join the career class. I'm very pleased to be here. Let me say a special thank you to you, Mr. Director, and your staff, and to this gentleman right there at the back who has become our friend, Mr. Wenger. And I want to say a special thanks to Maury Earl, from Washington, D.C. as well, even though you are not from Washington, but you are based in Washington. And a great special thanks to this wonderful couple here, the Lansings, sister Lansing and brother Lansing. So it's a pleasure. Thank you so very much for all you've done since yesterday. Dear friends, it's a great honor for me to be here in beautiful Provo and the great state of Utah, especially on the gorgeous campus of Brigham Young University, BYU, to discuss one of my favorite subjects with you. I would like to thank everyone who played a role in this cultural and intellectual exchange, from the security detail to the university leadership on down the line, particularly the organizers, as well as all of you who have come to partake in this activity. Personally, I shall also take away from the 2 days spent here the hospitality of the great people of Utah, particularly the Salt Lake City area, and now at Provo on this great campus. Thank you very much for the warm welcome. And particularly, thank you for your interest in my country. My modest hope is that following these discussions, we shall all be more enlightened about Haiti and its prospect for transformative change. I would like to begin this lecture by addressing the current economic, cultural, political, and educational climate in Haiti, followed by your questions as structured by the As Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Haiti to the United States of America, I function as an emissary of the head of state, and now the head of government. I speak to you mindful of my responsibility and grammatic decorum, and therefore my remarks are tempered to stay clear of the intricacies of political background and or even US politics. That said, allow me to tell you a few things about me, since David already said most of them. But I will tell you that I'm a lawyer by training, but I joined the diplomatic service of my country 30 years ago. I've been fortunate to serve as the Minister of Foreign Affairs recently, from 2018 to 2020. And I've been serving in many countries, like 7 countries, as a representative of Haiti. And now, this is my second tour of duty in Washington, D.C., after having served from 2012 to 2016 as ambassador to the Organization of American States, the OAS. As a member of Haiti's professional leadership, I am well aware of the contours of the current state of my country's institutional challenges. Instead of indulging you in the pointless exercise of outlining Haiti's problems, I do intend to take the more constructive course, that of not ignoring its problems, but presenting them in a context that highlights the way forward as that is for more useful for us all. First, allow me to provide a bit of historical context for all too often observers, even in Haiti, often neglect to comprehend where Haiti came from. Perhaps, understandably, influenced by spectacular events and negative images on this technological age. Haiti is often caricatured as an exception in the Western Hemisphere. The only independent French-speaking country besides Canada, which is bilingual. Haiti is always treated as a strange creature, or worse, for some folks' viewpoint. Haiti is even being characterized as a tragicomedy, according to the British writer Bocchit. The reality is that Haiti today is a complex society with its contradictions as well as problems that defy attempts to address them. To be sure, Haiti's challenges are vast. Yet, Haiti hasn't always been characterized as a failed state. As it is presented today in the international mindset. Paradoxically, Haiti also represents much less than the sum of its parts. I'll be upfront with you and admit that I and other members of Haiti's economic, intellectual, political, and social elites and leadership must account for our failure to unite and commit to a singular vision for the advancement of our country, despite our differences. That single fact explains Haiti's current struggle for political stability, economic growth, and the commensurate social peace that should result from it. Therefore, let me provide us with a historical sketch of Haiti. After the United States of America, Haiti is the second oldest independent republic in the Americas. The former slaves vanquished French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte's expeditionary army of 25,000 men to establish, on January 1st, 1804, the first modern independent republic by people of African descent anywhere in the world, and the second independent republic in the Western Hemisphere. France had been attempting to preserve its rule of the world's richest colony, Saint-Domingue, the jewel of the crown, when in 1791 the slaves revolted in the wake of the 1789 revolution. Indeed, Haiti today, according to the World Bank, is believed in a very difficult economic situation. But when you are comparing the two oldest republics, one is rich and one is poor. But Haiti's fate is, however, singularly distinctive, giving the odds against this group of slaves, free Africans and mulattoes who revolted, together to break the chains of bondage, that singular manifestation of crimes against humanity that is slavery. The historical fact is indisputable, geopolitically speaking, and its post-independence from 1804 roughly to 1822, Haiti was the standard bearer of liberty, equality, and fraternity. The rallying cry of the 1789 Revolution, French Revolution, for the oppressed people of the world, both before and after independence. Haiti led the way in upholding the quest for human dignity and freedom from oppression. Let me give you a few examples, few historical facts. It was largely Haitian combatants, mostly slaves in creoles and French military uniforms, who fought along the American soldiers at the Battle of Savannah from September 18 to October 23rd, 1779, to West Georgia's port city from the British, who were hell-bent on establishing the colony. Second, it was because Haiti had so weakened the Napoleon Bonaparte's army between 1791 and 1803, during the Haitian Revolution, that France had to sell to the Americans the Louisiana territory, known as Louisiana Purchase, which constituted about half of US landmass at the time. Defeated by Haitian revolutionaries, France did not have the resources to administer the territory and had to sell that territory. Third, it was Haiti's President Alexandre Pétion who welcomed Simon Bolivar to Port-au-Prince, not once, but twice, providing advisors, money, weapons, ammunition, and other supplies to Bolivar to help free South America, all the Spanish colonies. Haiti required only one thing from Bolivar. Everywhere he liberates, he has to free all the slaves and make those countries independent. Fourth, Haiti was the model nation, the beacon of hope, freedom and dignity, the hallmark of the declarations of the rights of men and citizens, as the French revolutionaries termed the notion of human rights at the end of the 19th century. The Republic of Haiti had a welcoming immigration policy then, as stipulated in Article 44 of the 1816 Constitution of Haiti. Any person of color from anywhere in the world who sought freedom, especially from European or American slavery, and arrived on Haitian soil, would be made a free citizen of Haiti. As a renowned journalist, Howard French, who now is a professor at Columbia University School of Journalism, noted in his most recent book, published this year, titled Born and Blackness, Africa, Africans, and the Making of the Modern World, 1471 to the Second World War. And I quote, "The nation now known as Haiti, most of them, in the 18th century, it became the richest colony in history, and in the 19th century, by dint of its slave population, successful revolution, Haiti rivaled the United States in terms of its influence on the world, notably in helping fulfill the most fundamental enlightenment value of all, ending slavery." For additional insight on Haiti's role in bringing freedom to the world, as well as its promise, I note that beginning in 1822 until 1844, at the request of the leaders of the Dominican Republic, who sought protection from the return of the Spanish, the former colonial power, Haiti over the entire island of Hispaniola, because the Dominicans wanted to remain free from the Spanish. And lastly, during the Second World War, Haiti provided $1 million to the United States, to the US war efforts, and as a sign of solidarity with the American people, Haiti declared war to Germany. So I'll stop with those historical facts. It has also had tremendous harmful consequences until the late 70s. Haiti was the reference in the Caribbean in terms of tourism and culture. From December 1st, 1949 to June 8, 1950, Haiti organized the World's Fair, a cultural, artistic display of architecture, music, and visual arts to celebrate the 200th anniversary of its capital, Port-au-Prince. But after hearing all of this, why now Haiti is in this condition? I will not dwell on the causes of Haiti's current social implosion, but it suffices to note that in 1950, Haiti had a similar GDP to South Korea and Thailand. Singapore and closer to us, Jamaica, for instance, were not even yet independent nations. The Dominican Republic, with which we share the island, looked to Haiti for ideas to develop its tourism sector and other industries. Intellectually, the State University of Haiti trained doctors, teachers, lawyers, engineers, and other technical professionals to send to Montreal and to send to the newly independent French-speaking African countries. It is said that there are no more Haitian nurses, doctors, other health professionals, and teachers in Montreal, for instance, than we have in Haiti. Today, our education system is facing very big challenges. The brain drain is part of the problem, yet tens of thousands of young people possess several degrees, certificates in multiple fields, while the employment market is not able to enter them. this situation explains mostly the migration crisis, and most recently, the one we witnessed in the Rio, Texas. The point is, Haiti state has not imploded because Haitians lack abilities or because Haiti is poor. No. Haitians thrive everywhere. They just need to have the opportunities. I'm choosing not to dwell on the current narrative of Haitian room of reliance on humanitarian assistance, environmental degradation, as well as natural disaster and human-made catastrophes. My message is one of recognition of our shortcomings, as we have not lived up to the standards of excellence and the example set by our forefathers, the women and men who fought to create that Black Republic in 1804. I and many Haitian leaders, especially the youth, are aware of our responsibilities to reverse the current nightmare. It is a nightmare. We are working steadfastly to seize the opportunity of this crisis to modernize our country. The crisis is a terrible thing to waste because there are many opportunities that can come out of the crisis. Thus, Haiti's current dystopia must not obscure the fact that despite its many struggles, Haiti is a land of opportunity. The spirit and legendary resilience of the Haitian people inspire us to turn away from simplistic explanations and from destructive tendencies that have engendered the horrible events currently taking place in our homeland. Accordingly, the government of Haiti, now led by the Prime Minister Dr. Ariel Henry, within the next year, will carry out constitutional reforms leading to democratic, free, and transparent elections. But currently, our most significant challenge is to improve public safety, public security, the condition necessary to organize small presidential and parliamentary elections, and going forward to attract direct and foreign investment. Because we believe no country can be developed or can attain any economic growth with humanitarian assistance. It has to be direct foreign investment. But those are things to be done. We have to provide to create a very stable and peaceful environment that can attract foreign and direct investment. In the security sector, the United States is the most important partner. The American assistance has helped train and equip the Haitian National Police, which has proven useful with ramping up training and equipping of Haiti's armed forces as well, a necessary component of the national security. With improved public security, we will then address the economic challenges. And we believe the elected government, the government that will come out of those elections at the end of 22, will implement a program of economic and trade development backed by investment and infrastructures, including renewable energy, roads, bridges, ports, and airports, to bring our country to an acceptable level of development. There also has huge opportunities in agriculture, and given the richest history in the hemisphere and modern 1,200 kilometers of coastline. And those spaces are still being unused. Haiti has lucrative opportunities for investments in cultural activities, tourism, and the hospitality sector. These sectors constitute now a priority for Haiti. Today, through the Caribbean Basin Initiative and the access it gives us to the American market, particularly in textiles and other assembly industries, the United States has helped provide with this law more than 60,000 jobs on this island. And nearly 1 million Haitians call the U.S. home, and Port-au-Prince is 1 hour and 20 minutes from the coastal city of the United States, Miami. I must tell you about the Hope Health Law that was voted on by Congress almost 10 years ago. It's about to expire in 2 years. Currently, I believe today, this law will be putting on the Senate floor today, because we are seeking the renewal of this Hope Health law that gives every investor who are investing in Haiti to export what they produce in Haiti to the U.S. market free of duty. It's going to be for another 10 years, so 2 years left, and total is going to be 12 years to take advantage of those opportunities offered by Hope and Health laws. Once this political architecture is set in motion, we hope that the new government of Haiti will reform the business climate to facilitate direct investment, including public-private partnerships to create wealth and provide jobs for young people, so that the world will no longer see those painful, witching images of border patrol, agents, disparate immigrants who are seeking opportunities. Even in your own country, when a significant group of citizens do not show the state's institutions, it presents grave danger for democratic institutions. That's why it's important in Haiti to create trust in our population. That is the most urgent task at hand, despite huge obstacles, like what a nation undergoing deep city crisis that threatened their existence, including the United States during the Civil War, which from 1861 to 1865. Haiti shall rise again, because we believe in every single Haitian's capacity. The new Haiti we are building draws from the resilience of our people and the quest of young people, in particular for new opportunities in their homeland. We are quite aware that will not happen overnight, but the seeds are right now being planted for a bountiful harvest. We intend this time to seize the moment. With that positive spirit, I will end my remarks and I will be happy to take your questions. And it's been a big pleasure to be here and to talk to you. And thank you for your attention.